Have you ever wanted to discover what's missing in your life? Metaphysics is available to all and is part of your life even if you don't know it. Welcome to Metaphysics, a view through the veil with Barb Crowley. Together we'll explore the mysteries behind metaphysics and how to use it to have a deeper understanding and advantage in life. And now here's your host, Barb Crowley.
Hi, this is Barb Crowley, and welcome to Metaphysics, a view through the veil. Today we're going to talk about chakras and shadow work. And we're going to talk to Stefani Michelle, who has just come out with a book about that and is going to bring us through the chakras. Most of us know chakras. I don't know anything about shadow work. I think I'm afraid to look. Anyway, Stefani, thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate your being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. You want to give me a little background or give the audience a little background on you and how you came to this?
Absolutely. So I was raised in a metaphysical household, and my mom had started, well, first she started praying actually over my bed because I was having these experiences at night, nightmares and waking up and explaining, basically the books she was reading. She didn't realize I was having telepathic moments until a few years later. The prayers weren't working because these were telepathic moments. And so then she started doing meditations with me. And then she started teaching meditation and teaching astrology and teaching the Akashic records. And then I started kind of taking over my own journey with it and learning yoga and learning Reiki in the 90s. I became a Reiki master and started practicing yoga probably in the 80s as a kid,
Right. How old were you when she was praying over you? Because my first thought went to, you wake up and your mother's praying over you. That has got to be terrifying.
She started working with me when I was 3 years old.
Wow. So you were having telepathic night terrors. Yeah.
Exactly. Telepathic night terrors. And she just had a big job raising me because my mind was so expanded and I could touch on so many energies and I can see the energy. It's not the same as when people see auras because it's not in color like that, even though I'm very attuned with the chakras. They kind of just vibrate out from the area of the chakra, not create this aura. The auras always look golden to me, but I also see those cords of energy like the root system of trees. I can see where people are connected and where there's broken pathways and where there's choices and stuff like that. So having a mind like that as a child, my mom had to learn about all of the metaphysical world in order to to raise me so that I didn't wind up on a pathway of self-destruction. Right. And I kept teetering on that pathway. I've been teetering on that pathway.
Kept a toe in there, huh?
yeah, for 49 years. And so at 40, this is where I had always had this healing journey as well. I became a Reiki master in the mid 90s for myself, for my own healing. Traditional healing pathways really didn't work for me. I studied and read all the psychology books and the sociology books and have a degree in communications and leadership. And it didn't create a wholeness for me. And the metaphysical world plus the education created that wholeness for me. And it wasn't until my 40s that I really started diving into shadow work. And it wasn't until I was in a pretty bad situation that I started putting my hands on my own heart and just telling myself I loved myself. Every night I would go to bed and just say, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. And it seems so simple, but what started happening is I could feel, because I can see and feel the energy, I could feel my heart. It was like, I like to describe it like that movie Avatar, when they connect to the horse and you have those fibers that like
Yeah.
connect. It was like I could feel the fibers in my heart connecting to my hands, and I could feel all of those pathways healing.
Hmm.
And once I started doing that, it kind of gave me the rest of the journey to go through the chakras to create my own healing and really turn my life around. I went from a state of mind, a state of being that was full of depression and really wanting to exit the world,
Yeah.
to enjoying and loving and feeling completely empowered, self empowered, and being able now to tackle any kind of um,
Adversity or
suffering
just
that comes,
life? Yeah.
adversity, yeah,
Yeah.
life, anything that tries to take me down, I'm taking it down first.
Yeah. So you came
you
out a
know
warrior out of this.
I did
Yeah.
I have coping skills that I never had before because of the shadow work.
Hmm.
I always had tenacity, I always had drive, but the coping skills and the ability to transform myself since I started the shadow work through my chakras, since I read the book, it doesn't stop. It's like something's activated and it just keeps
Hmm.
going and it keeps getting better and it keeps healing and I keep going through transformation. It feels like daily, to be honest with you,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe hourly.
Moment to moment.
Exactly, exactly.
But tell me what shadow work is because you put your hand in your heart and you just started saying, I love myself, right?
Right. So shadow work is listening to the subconscious script, and it's bringing the subconscious to the forefront, to the conscious, and
Hmm.
balancing those voices, those dynamics.
Right.
And so what I'm doing through the chakras is I'm using that affirmations, using energy work, using movement to
Hmm.
activate those parts in my body that are in the subconscious. And once I started doing that, that layer of subconscious, that's why I say it's activated now, is
Right.
because there's more underneath. And now the unconscious is moving into the subconscious. And then I get to move that into the conscious. And I'm resolving those YouTube tabs that are open in my brain, all the background noise that you're like, where is that coming from? It's coming
Hmm.
to the forefront now. It's surfacing, and I get to resolve that unconscious and subconscious script and make choices
Right.
with clarity and make choices in my consciousness on whether I want to be controlled by my unconscious and things that I picked up on when I was 3, or do I want to be in control of it? And so
Hmm.
that's why it's extremely empowering, because you're really pulling all of that out of your body and getting to hear it and be clear with it.
Most of us don't know the underlying script.
Right.
Most of us, if we've done any self work at all, we know there is one, but we don't really know what it is. I mean, going to therapy, as you said, you tried all kinds of things before you got here. But going to
Yes.
therapy, everybody talks about, well, the trauma but really, I don't know if people get to that underlying script to be able to know who's driving the boat, kind of thing.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, and it's a lot of work.
Right.
It's not, you don't leave the therapy office or the shadow work office going, I feel great today. You
Mhm.
leave crying and a pedal on the floor and
Yeah.
saying, I feel great
Yeah.
today. It's because you're really getting to the core of your own vibration, of your own frequency, of
Mhm.
the way that you're conducting your life, and recognizing like, oh shit, it really has been me the whole time driving the bus. It's just been this me that I couldn't see. It's been this
Right.
blind part of me
Mhm.
for whatever reason.
Right.
And so it's like meeting yourself all over again. I had this
I have to ask though, real
experience.
quick, and then tell me. Well, I don't want to. I want that too.
Go ahead.
Um,
I won't
yeah,
forget it.
good. How many scripts are there? Because I've got this idea that you've got many scripts in there. So you've got a prominent one, then you've got the next one in line, then the next one. And, I don't know because I can't say that I've gotten to the scripts, honestly.
Right, right. I think that question, as soon as you asked that question, I was reminded of that commercial from the 90s. How many licks does it take to get to the center of the Tootsie Roll Pop? And it's like,
Yeah.
it depends. You just, there is no number. It's how far have you stuffed things down? How much have you ignored on your journey? Suppressing our emotions has been a huge part of our culture for so long. Just power through it,
Right,
have a good cry and then move on, whatever that is. And so we just, keep layering things on
Right.
top of the
Yeah.
next, and we don't give ourselves time to process anything. If we came out, as a child and was like, oh, you're hungry right now, let's process that first and then we'll give you food, like we would have these high vibing bodies and souls because we were allowing ourselves the space and the time to experience what's happening. But we don't do that. We just have the experience and keep going, have the experience and keep going. And so
Right.
I haven't found the center of the Tootsie Roll Pop. I haven't found the bottom for myself, but I will tell you, every time I have a new awakening in my own soul, there's more joy. There's no cap on the joy. There's no cap on the love. So,
Right.
and it works hand in hand. So far I'm finding there's no cap on the shadow, but there's also no cap on the light. And it just keeps getting more
Expanding.
enriched.
Yeah.
And expanding.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
So
The experience I was
good. I was just going to say
share
the
with you.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a moment when I was a child experiencing a lot of trauma. One of the things there was two things that I always did. I always journaled, which led me to, the writing. It was my way of talking, and expressing, and it helped. It felt better than actually, talking to a live person. I would talk to God essentially in my journals.
Your invisible best friend, your journal.
Exactly. My invisible best friend. Now, in my 40s, maybe last year, 48, I collided with the child that was journaling. I felt my adult person remember being that God that the child was channeling and journaling to.
Right.
And the version of me that I collided into always told her, it's going to be okay. Everything's going to work out. Just hold on, keep going.
Right.
And those two versions of myself, because I've been doing the shadow work, joined forces, became one. And it wasn't me all of a sudden going back and
imagining
imagining my inner child or parenting my inner child. It was me remembering I had already done that.
Wow.
And it was me seeing her move into that version of me that I am now.
And isn't that then the center? That you actually got to the bottom of the scripts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense because it does feel different now. The processing that's happening and the shadow work that's happening is happening in real time.
Right,
it's not happening in the past.
Yeah.
So that makes I got to the bottom of the Tootsie Roll Pop. That's
you
amazing.
did. Congratulations.
See, that's why thank you. That's why you had to ask that question and I had to share that story. And that's the beauty of this, is that I can do processing and shadow work now because of the journey that I've gone through that I wrote about in real time.
Right.
It
so
happens,
immediately you process.
Right. Immediate.
Yeah.
Right. And not only am I immediately processing, it's what's happening is my old patterns, my old reactions will happen right away. And I'll be, my old script will want to come up and I'll catch it in real time. And I'll say, no, we're not doing that anymore. And then I'll make a new choice.
Wow. Do you think that script will ever go away? Ever not come up?
I do. I
Yeah.
do, because there are other scripts
Hmm.
that don't come up anymore,
Oh,
that are
wow.
completely
Yeah.
gone. They're in my memory, but they're not in my
Yeah.
frequency. They're not in my vibration. And so I test myself every now and then. I'll go, so could I still react that way if I wanted to? And my whole body is like, no, you can't. You cannot
Yeah.
actually go backwards. It's not a vibration that I have anymore. It's a memory that I have, but
Uh-huh.
it doesn't live in my body.
Boy, that's great. That
Yeah.
congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm so passionate about what I do. And I want to help everyone because I am such a stubborn person. I'm a
Hmm.
Capricorn with a Taurus moon. And if I can do it,
Yeah. Yeah.
thank God for my Scorpio right there in the ascendant that likes to transform. But I swear it's definitely a battle. And
Hmm.
I feel like if I can do it, anyone can do it
Right.
because of how stubborn and egotistical I am, and like all the
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And
You're gonna win this battle. No matter what, you're gonna
right,
win. Yeah.
right. So it's
Are all
definitely
this, did you recognize the scripts when they came up? Did you recognize them? And are some of them from past life? Are they all
some
from?
of them. No, some of them were definitely from past lives,
Hmm.
and I was able to recognize them as they came up. I love that question. No one's ever actually asked me that question that I remember. Um, and the reason why I was able to recognize them is because I've trained myself in feeling the different energies.
Hmm.
And so I can feel what is current, what is the current flow, like the electrical current that is
Right.
happening, and what is like an archived current, what
Hmm.
is a classic, they
Old
feel different.
energy.
Even
Yeah.
old energy, even as I'm saying it, I can visually see like the current that you and I are creating right now is this strong, beautiful gold cord.
Mm.
And then an old current that would want to come in almost looks like it's rusted, right? And there's some holes or
Oh,
there's
okay.
some
Yeah.
cooties
Yeah.
on it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it feels different. It feels denser. It feels heavier. It
Hmm.
feels
Ugly.
it's ugly. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. Like
So
an old
it's
pipe you're pulling out of the ground that you don't really want to touch.
right,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. So because I have given myself the space and the time to, and that's through meditation,
Hmm.
I've sat in meditation and been able to feel where all of these energies are coming from. I can, I have a clearer vision and understanding than I ever did before
Hmm.
with what's current reality and what's old.
Right.
With the past life stuff, that was one of the first things that my mom really tackled. Astrology was the first thing, but then when she was teaching metaphysics, it
Hmm.
was past lives and how to cut those cords and kind of clean your energy system from that. So for me personally, that one has been almost like just a
Automatic,
quick
really. Yeah.
automatic thing. And what it feels, so where the current lifetime, the Stephanie Michelle lifetime is that rusty pipe,
Hmm.
the past life energies, I can feel it like it's back here.
Oh,
It
okay.
feels
It's
like it's
behind
coming
you.
back here.
Yeah.
Right, but even though I can see it visually from my third eye here,
Hmm.
it's got this like distant energy, like it's here, back here.
Right.
It's if you were to like stand, I don't even know, like I can just feel the energy almost like it's jello around me. And so
Mhm.
there's different places that I can feel it coming from.
Can anybody do that? Do you train people to feel it? And
Oh,
another
absolutely.
thing I wanted to ask before, and I'm realizing I'm starting to ask people this. What kind of meditation do you do? You said, "Well, I got this from meditation," and now I'm becoming very curious of what kind of meditations do people do?
So there's so many names and
Exactly.
types,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
When I was growing up and my mother was teaching me this, I didn't have a name for it. It was just meditation. I do visualized meditations.
Hmm.
Well, that's how it started. It started with guided meditations. And so the meditations in my book are all guided, and they'll
Hmm.
start you with visuals to take yourself on a journey.
Hmm.
But then you're creating a vortex of energy. So we start actually with the chakras and taking the energy system and visualizing the Taurus energy around you,
Hmm.
um, moving and creating a vortex within your own system. And then you go on a journey visually. So that's where I start with. I've
Hmm.
always started that way with myself, and that's where I start with others. I teach them those visual journeys.
Yeah.
But once you're versed at that, it's muscle memory. And so now at this stage in my life, if I wanted to meditate, I just put on this music that I've been listening to for 40 years, literally.
That's
And
almost the
my body,
trigger then. That's a trigger that
right,
puts you right there.
right. And my
Yeah.
body will just go into a sort of trance
Hmm.
meditative state. So what I do is trance meditation
Hmm.
because I can sit there and the energy is generating. It's generating. And I don't have to take myself on a vision quest anymore. The
Right.
visions will come to me. So I can
Hmm.
sit in that energy system, allow my body to heal and allow whatever. And sometimes it's not always visions. Sometimes it's just light and it's just moving through and it's
Hmm.
being at peace and it's just clearing out um, rusty pipes,
Right.
At this point, I am just capable of allowing the energy to do what it wants. And yes, I
Hmm.
do teach that. And it's really exciting to be able to teach people how to do that because it's so transformative.
Right.
And they can start with my book. I mean, everything's in there. And then
Hmm.
if they want assistance, they can come to me, and I work with people every day on
Right.
this thing, on this. Yeah.
Um, how long does it take people to trust their visions, their intuition?
Oh, that's such a good question. That, in my experience so far working with people, I'm going to give you an average of
Hmm.
a year and a half.
Wow. Yeah.
Really clearing it out. And there's layers, right?
Hmm.
So we get to trusting your own vision is in different parts of the body.
Hmm.
There's different trust levels in the root chakra, there's different in the sacral, there's different in the solar plexus, and each one holds power. And
Right.
I tell everyone to work with, at least give yourself minimum 30 days to work with each chakra. Now, I speak and teach of the chakras in isolation, but you're never actually going to work with them in isolation. There's always going to be a combination of energies working because
Hmm. They're
it
all
just,
connected. Yeah.
they're all connected.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I try to get you some clarity by working one at a time. And you'll see, like, oh, well, now I'm dealing with honesty when I'm dealing with my root and,
Hmm.
stuff like that. So the throat's coming into play. But I've seen that every time they get a layer of trust, it's a new stage of joy. It's like they're becoming kids again
Yeah.
in that, joyous realm. And my greatest and most saddest, my happiest and worst, however you want to say it, is when they essentially graduate, and they
Mm.
don't need me anymore, and they fully trust, and it's such a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
And that's I've always had that, even as an art teacher when I was in education teaching kids in high school. It was like, I want you to be better than me. I
Hmm.
want you to teach me how to paint. I want you to go out in the world and be amazing artists and then come back and tell me what you learned.
Yeah.
And so now doing it in this way, um, with the shadow work clients, I want them to trust themselves on a deeper level than I trust myself,
Hmm.
and then come back and teach me. I
Yeah.
I always want to learn more. So
Hmm.
I encourage that self-trust. That right there is the core of everything I teach my clients, is self-trust.
Yeah.
and no one's ever asked me that and it's so powerful. It's so
Mhm.
powerful.
I've played with the chakras. I've gone in a meditation, which to me I visualize too. And then, but what I've done is, just drop out of the third eye and then drop down to the first chakra, the second chakra. And all I do is sit in it and look out at the world. And the world
Yeah,
looks different in each chakra. It's like, oh,
it
well, that's
does.
different. Yeah. I mean, it's
It
kind of
does look different.
interesting, but I don't do anything with it past that. It's just like, oh, wow, this is heavy. This is dense, the root chakra. This is pretty grimy.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
I go,
So
for me, the second chakra is very deep. I've never gotten to the bottom of it. There's a, yeah, and I'm probably this is too much information, probably, but to me, it's like a big black hole there. Yeah, that I've
well,
gone
I
in,
call
but
that
I've not pulled out. Yeah.
no, that is the universe, the
Mm.
sacral chakra. I call it the God chakra. That is the most powerful. That's where we're creating life.
Oh,
So
good.
to me,
Because yeah, I was a
is
little worried about that. It's like,
no, no,
oh, I don't think there's a bottom here.
no, there
Yeah,
isn't. That's
yeah,
exactly right. It's
good,
ever
good.
expanding, just like the
Hmm.
universe. That's your core. That's your
Yeah, good.
creation. Yeah, there is no bottom to that one. So
Mm.
you're exactly right.
Oh, good. I feel better because I was worried about that.
No, absolutely not. That's
Yeah.
that's eternal life. That's the creation
Oh,
right
good.
there.
I'm glad I didn't try and make a bottom then.
Right. Right. Oh,
Right.
so that's another tip I guess I can give is when you're doing the visualizations, one of the ways that you can recognize if it's you or spirit or you or
Hmm.
the energy or you or God or is when you try and make a bottom, you
Right.
try and insert your ego,
Yeah.
it'll snap away and they'll go, nope, that doesn't belong there. And you're like,
Right.
wait, but I'm scared. I
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
there to be
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
bottom. And
Yeah.
spirit, yeah,
Right.
spirit's like, no, no, that doesn't live
Right.
there.
Right. That's funny. So,
Yeah.
when you bring people to, let's say, the first chakra,
Mhm.
how is that? How is that for them? And what kind of feedback do you get from people? I'm going to bring you through each chakra, if that's okay. Do you mind?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
No, not at all. The first chakra, I'm smiling because that we spend the most time on the first chakra
Hmm.
because that is your foundation. So
Right.
what I start with my clients is telling them to deconstruct themselves.
What does
And
that
that
mean?
in its
Yeah.
so I have them think about every possible description of themselves that they can,
Oh,
whether
good.
it's I'm filling out a dating profile, what would you say about yourself? I'm filling out a job resume, what would you say about yourself? You're meeting somebody that for the first time in a park, what would you say about yourself? So you have to think about everything that you would describe yourself as,
In the
in
world.
in
Yeah.
multiple, yeah, in the world, in multiple venues,
Hmm.
and then ask yourself why.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's
Why do you think
huge. Yeah.
exactly?
I'm surprised anybody gets to the second chakra.
It takes that one is the bulk. The root
Yeah.
chakra is the bulk. We spend a lot of time on that because
Right.
as you then say, well, I describe myself this way because I went to school and studied this, but why did you go to school and study that?
Right.
What,
Right.
so that's why I say it's the deconstruction of the self. And
Hmm.
what you're trying to do in that moment is get down to the core of just I am and nothing
Right.
else.
Hmm. Wow.
And from there, yeah. And from there, then we can tackle the rest. And the rest, honestly, once we tackle it's just almost like
Yeah. Yeah.
everything starts to flow because that root, again, we're creating a new foundation. You're taking the bottom out
Hmm.
and you're letting everything kind of,
Right.
yeah,
How
yeah.
many how many how many emotional breakdowns do you have in there? in that root
Oh
chakra
man.
or in your class. It would seem to me that you've got some, if you've got fragile people, this could be pretty scary, you
It can
know?
absolutely be really scary. And so I when I'm talking to somebody and they're asking me if they're ready for shadow work, I tell them it's not trauma therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the 12 steps. If you
Right.
think you need to do some basic stuff first, do that, because shadow work is going to trigger you. And if you're not ready to face your triggers and release the triggers, you're not ready for shadow work.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I did trauma therapy and I did Codependence Anonymous. And, I've been in the 12-step stuff
Mm-hmm.
for a long time in the past. And I got to a place where I was ready to do shadow work. And I understand the beauty of shadow work, but it's
Right.
not, you can't skip these basic densities of the
Mm-hmm.
energies of the world around you. You have to first tackle the boulders, move those
Right.
rocks out of the way
Right.
so that you can then feel safe in this experience.
Mm-hmm.
So how many emotional breakdowns? A lot, but because I set it up where, listen, this is going to be, you're going to tackle your triggers.
Mm-hmm.
People, I have been fortunate to only get people who are ready for that,
Okay.
because
You
that's what I
haven't
said.
fired anybody or said you
I
can't be
have
in
not.
the class.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Good.
I have not fired anyone. No one's fired me. I've only had people graduate,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
because I make sure they know we're going to experience. The first thing you're going to do is deconstruct yourself. You're going to get rid of your pre thoughts of who you're supposed to be
Right.
and just be energy in
Mm-hmm.
motion.
Right. Wow.
And so they come to me when they're ready.
Yeah. So it's an
And
energetic thing at that point. In other words, they
yeah,
would be repelled if they're not ready.
if they're right,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's and the way that they're repelled if they're not ready is simply by having a conversation with me, because I am so um transparent, and I'm going to call you out on your bullshit. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
say, look, you're lying to yourself right in this moment. And if they're not ready to hear that,
Right.
then they're not ready for anything else. So
Mm-hmm.
probably why I've never had to fire people, because there's already the magnets are not aligned. They're just
Right.
like you
Right.
said,
They've already
repelled.
gone away. Yeah. They've
Yeah,
already gone away.
exactly.
So when
Yeah,
they get out of that and they're now deconstructed and at their core, what I call at their core of who they are when they came in, that's what I
yeah,
think.
yeah,
And then you bring them to what I didn't know, that second chakra of the universe, of infinity, of God. Um,
yeah.
what happens then?
Oh, it's my
I mean, I can
favorite.
sit in that chakra forever, because I
Yeah,
use that. I'm a recovered empath. That's what I call it.
right, right.
And
Oh,
I
that's so
used to
fun.
use that chakra. If I'd come into a big room or whatever and wanted to check it out, I sent my spirit out through my second chakra to check everybody out. So I knew everything before I entered, you know.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
so I
So
don't know a whole lot more about what I've just told you about the second chakra, other than I was daunted. I was afraid that, oh my God, there's a lot here and I can't see it.
right, right,
So,
right. So the second chakra is life, essentially, which is why you probably did that. It's every
mhm,
time you hear about the law of attraction or the secret or think and grow rich, how to
mhm,
manifest your life, 9 times out of 10, they're talking about the sacral, the second chakra. They're talking
mhm,
about utilizing that energy, because that is where we create life. So when my clients are ready to move into that, I have this amazing exercise that I just say, if if you could imagine the best possible life on earth for yourself without any, you don't have to worry about money, you don't have to worry about the 3D shoulda coulda woulda, you
right.
complete and total freedom to just do whatever it is that you want. When you wake up, what does your day look like? When you go to sleep, what does your day look like? Now, we've already processed and gotten rid of, hopefully, the
Mhm.
voices. Why do you
Right.
think this of yourself? Well, because my mom told me I was supposed to, because the church told me I was supposed to,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
So hopefully we've gotten to a point where it's just a flow of energy.
Hmm.
And so now, they get to, if this was me and someone was asking me this question, I always have this same vision, which is always shocking to me because I think I want to wake up on a beach, but when I close my eyes, my ego is like, oh, you want to wake up on a beach. But when
Right.
I ask myself this question, I'm waking up in a forest on a mountain. And it's
No
like that
beach.
and there's no beach. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
my ego really thought I was going to be on the beach,
Yeah.
but there's like that velvety
Hmm.
forest floor,
That
and
moss.
you
Yeah.
smell, right, and that moss,
Yeah.
and you just smell it, and I wake up just happy and joyful, and all of my needs are taken care of, and I can bake my own bread, and I
Yeah.
have, everything,
Yeah.
all of those things are taken care of. For me, it really does look like living on Pandora, living in that
Hmm.
Avatar movie.
Can I ask you a question? When you wake up in
Yeah.
that situation, can you smell it?
Oh, yeah,
Because,
absolutely.
that's one thing I get. Oh, I can smell it. You know,
I can
with the,
smell the dew,
yeah,
the water and
yeah.
air that's
And
just fresh
the
and
earth
clean.
and yeah, all
Yeah.
of it. I can smell it. Yeah, which is always nice. It's always
It's
um almost to me better than the feeling of touch, the smell,
right, right,
So
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
Because it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah,
That
it's
feeling of smell.
enveloping. It to me it
Yeah.
sums up the whole thing in one smell.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I just wondered, can
Absolutely.
other people smell it? Do other people smell it?
Oh, it smells
Yeah,
so good.
it
So,
does.
then what I have them do, they create their perfect utopia.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ask them, well, how are you going to get there?
Yeah.
And we kind of, so once we have this and we get rid of the voices and, get rid of well, that's not possible, all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff,
Yeah.
we automatically go into the solar plexus, because the solar plexus is the I do. It's like, I'm going to, so how are we going to get there? And we create, it's not smart goals, it's not a plan, but at the same time it is smart goals and it's a plan. But what it really is a mindset. So we're creating a mindset to move through this life now, to
Mm-hmm.
act as if you're in that forest until all of a sudden you're in the fucking forest.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I have done that. I know that this is a foolproof proof method, because I have personally been in the space where I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly what I saw. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
just once that I've done that. It's not just twice. It is a million times over and over again. And it's always shocking. And
Yeah.
no matter how many times I do it in my life, when I, like how the little girl all of a sudden landed with the 48-year-old version of myself,
Mm-hmm.
it's that same feeling of like, oh my God, we made it. We're actually in the exact thing
Right.
that I was projecting out from my sacral.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had to do life from that projection. And I had to be in that mindset of anything is possible. And I even talked about this in my book. I created an alter ego called Lady Limitless. And
I
I
like
believe in
that.
her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That is
Yeah.
a
Let
gift
me
to the world.
introduce you to my better half.
Right, Lady
Yeah.
Limitless, and she is unstoppable. And I've seen her at work, and I've seen my life be limitless, and it
Hmm.
continues to be. And I still have normal human challenges. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
currently in the middle of a tornado, but my outlook on this tornado is, we're just going to let it do its thing and destroy
Hmm.
what it needs to destroy, because I know underneath is a bed of roses.
It's like getting rid of the scripts, almost like
Exactly.
getting rid of the scripts. Now,
Yeah.
when you want to manifest something, let's say you want a new car or something, do you go to that second chakra and do you visualize or how do you do it?
Um, that's such a good question. So, yes, but I don't see where people get stuck is they visualize like the actual car, and then they
Hmm.
get stuck on that.
It's
And you
not
have to
blue.
go,
It's not blue. Yeah.
it's not blue.
Right. I
It
can't
might
have
not
that car. It's not blue. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. And so they limit themselves
Right.
into a specific vision. And then what I like to say in these moments is kind of like that proverb where like I ask God to save me, and then the helicopter comes and he's
Right.
like, no, God's gonna do
Yeah.
It's the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't have expectations on what it's gonna look like.
Hmm.
So once you're like, okay, I need a new car, you have to give yourself a variety.
Hmm.
I want it to be in this family. I want it to have these features. I want it
Hmm.
to last a really long time. You have to have a variety, but you can't have so many specifics. I know that there's a script in the manifesting world is to be as detailed as possible, but then that's setting yourself up. In my journey of doing
Hmm.
this for failure and expectation and always trying to grasp. So you give
Right.
yourself a feeling. You give yourself a feeling in the sacral chakra,
Hmm.
not a stone.
Right.
And once you have that feeling of driving a new car, having the money for that new car, the abundance, and then you start to believe it, it's going to happen. You don't limit yourself on how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen, because that's the other thing people get tripped up on is, well, I've been doing this for 6 months and it didn't happen. So what, you're going to stop doing it? Does that
Yeah.
mean
Yeah.
you didn't get it? No, it
Right.
just means time is irrelevant. You just keep going and you keep enjoying and you keep loving and you keep
Hmm.
having gratitude until all of a sudden you're in that moment of alignment and you're like, oh my God, I actually have the exact car that I wanted to, but I didn't limit myself to a pathway or saying it needed to be blue.
Right. Right.
All of a sudden it's blue though. I
Hmm.
didn't have to limit myself to blue. It just showed up as blue.
Right.
So what I'm saying, the key to that really is being in the feeling of it, which is what Esther Hicks says. But there's
Hmm.
more. To me, when I listen to those things, I'm like, it's not. Give it a little bit more punch. Like
Yeah.
there's a little bit more to it than
Yeah.
that. You
Yeah.
have to get rid of your ego and your expectation side, and you have to. My favorite thing is act as if
Hmm.
thanks Ben Affleck into whatever movie that was
Yeah.
back in the
Yeah.
90s. Whatever, act as if, because that's a very powerful emotion, and it's not false belief. That's
Hmm.
the other thing that people get tripped up on is they pretend that they believe that this is going to happen.
Right.
And so I walk them through, belief is not enough. You have
Mhm.
to know it's going to happen, because once you know it's going to happen, then it's
Right.
going to happen. And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter how it happens or when it happens or what you have to get rid of to make it happen.
Hmm.
You're getting to a next thing that you asked for, and you have to know it's going to happen. Belief is not enough. You can't just believe something, you have to know it
Hmm.
for yourself.
How about people who then go charge credit cards because they know they're going to make more money? You know.
Then they're going to make more money.
Hmm.
That to me is they're going to make more money.
Yeah.
I've been in that situation. I do that, and I do make more money when I
Yeah.
know I'm going to make more money. I'm going to make more money because you're
Hmm.
activating when you know and you get out of the belief. You're activating a true feeling, and you're activating the solar plexus of doing it. So
Hmm.
it's a mini motivator. I'm going to get my butt out there because I'm going to make more money because I want more gold, whatever it is.
Right. Right.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and you're gonna do it in a way that feels good to you
Hmm.
because it depends, what do you want in life? Do you want the stuff? Do you want the things?
Right.
Then you're gonna want to do the thing to get the stuff, to do the
Hmm.
things. If you want to just be laying on the moss in the mountains in the forest, then
Hmm.
you're gonna do the things to get there to create that.
Right.
So
Right.
it
You're going to
depends.
take the
And
steps toward it without even realizing you're taking those steps. Yeah.
right, when it moves
Hmm.
from belief to know, you're gonna
Right.
that's when you
Right.
activate the solar plexus and you're going to do it.
I
You're
have
gonna
to
take the
agree
steps.
with you on the details because there have been things that I've gotten that I think, thank God I didn't get the details, because who knew this was out here? It makes your life,
Right.
your world very little, because you can't even perceive of some of the things, that
Right.
are out there that you're going to have, but you didn't even know they were there, So,
Right.
to go detailed is, in my mind, to make your world little, only to what you know, and you don't know most of it. You
That's
don't know most of it.
exactly right. Right.
Yeah.
And so when you don't do those details, what you're doing is you're opening your reticular activating system to seek out and see more possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're giving it
Right.
details, you're, like you said, there's limited possibilities and you're just trying to make everything fit into this one little tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much more. So you got to
Yeah. There's so much you don't
open
know
up.
about. You're just unaware. Just
Right.
unaware. So now let's
Right.
go to the third chakra. To me, the third chakra, when I look at it, it's like a machine, So,
Right. That's the I do. That's the
Oh, okay,
activation.
good.
So
Because I see
that's
a little
where,
machine in there.
that's exactly right. That's so
Mhm.
funny. I love that you see that. That's exactly what it is. So that's why I say that it moves from the feeling to the knowing, because
Mhm.
now you're activating the machine and the machine
Right,
is going and your body just goes with it. It's that
right.
motivation, it's the powerhouse. It's where you
One thing that's weird about
put the
that,
work
though,
in.
that machine intimidates me. I'm afraid of it. I have
Oh
no
my God.
idea why, but it's like, ooh, don't go there, don't touch that. Yeah. You know?
Because power is intimidating. That's so funny because you're saying all the things without even realizing you're saying it. Because that is also where fear and anxiety live, in
Oh,
the
okay.
solar plexus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh,
it's
good.
because
I'm
it's
glad to hear this, because I never understood. Well, how come, that what is that machine
because
that I won't go near? Know? You know?
that's the light and the dark.
Hmm.
So the light part of the solar plexus is the power center.
Right.
It is the machine, the grind that's going to make you go. But there's also fear of power.
Mm,
So it gives anxiety and it gives fear. And it's like, oh my God, that's such a powerful thing. Do I want to touch it? I don't know if I'm responsible enough. I don't know if
right.
I'm good enough. I don't know
I'm
if I'm
afraid
capable enough.
it's gonna chew me up, frankly. It's
Okay.
gonna just chew me up and spit me out. Yeah.
Because
So
you don't think your personal power is as equal to the
the
solar
machine.
plexus power, the
Yeah.
machines, but
Yeah.
it is,
Yeah.
because that's your power.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're that, and that's what I do with my clients. I combine the shadow and the light to let you know you're that power center. The thing that
Right.
you're afraid of is you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is your machine. And you're looking at it going, damn, that thing's powerful. When
Right.
you should be looking in the mirror and going, damn, that thing is powerful, because it
Right.
is you.
Hmm. Oh, that's pretty wild. That's what I was getting on that. It was like, oh my God. Oh,
Yeah.
good. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do some of this work, obviously.
You just
Um,
walk up to the little machine and say hi in the beginning, baby
really?
steps. But
Okay. This is how bad I am. I'll say hi from back here first. Then I'll
whatever
take a
baby
step or
steps.
two.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, every time I've looked at it, it's like, wow. Um,
Yeah.
okay, the heart chakra. Everybody feels like they know the heart chakra. And I don't have a good vision of the heart chakra for me. I have it's almost like a poster. I think I've read so
Oh,
much and everybody
interesting.
refers to it, and well, I'm coming through my heart and all that. And anytime I hear somebody say that, okay, I grew up in New York area.
Me
Anytime I hear
too.
somebody, oh, good, I think, oh, watch out.
Yeah, yeah.
Watch out. There's a knife here somewhere. I know.
Well, it's really, really hard for people to activate the heart chakra as in depth as it is. And if you really understand the heart chakra, there's two parts to it. There's the human, the beating heart, and then there's the ethereal part, which is why it's got the two
Hmm.
colors, green and pink. And I love my new description of how the heart chakra works, is because it is that the feelers from the horse in Avatar, those little fibers.
Yeah.
And that's what we do with our heart chakra, is we can speak, we can connect to each other.
Hmm.
And that is very scary. And so a lot of people do flatten it out like a poster because
Right.
of the intense connection. There's another movie. I use a lot of pop culture references. I
Hmm.
don't know why Spirit has given me pop culture, because I don't even watch TV. But
You must
the
watch
old movie,
some.
I know because I know
Yeah.
all of them. But
Right.
anyway, there's this old movie from the 80s, maybe early 90s, called Cocoon.
Oh,
And
I
there's
remember
a,
that. Yeah. Yeah.
right? Such a good
Right.
movie. There's a pool scene where the alien, and they were in a nursing home, and I forget the actor's name, but very famous
Hmm.
actor. Were in a pool scene and they were going to make love. But what they did was she took her spirit out and taught him how to take his spirit out, and that the two light bodies connected above the water. And
Hmm.
that's the heart chakra. And
Yeah.
that's the feelers, that's the
Yeah.
two fibers. So it's very, we protect that so much, because that is where we can create communication. And
Mhm.
we'll get to the throat chakra. That's a different form of communication. I'll give you another experience I had, and which embodies the heart chakra.
Mhm.
We are the heart chakra, right? So we're everything, but in our cradle is what they just said. We're the heart chakra.
Mhm.
So I had an experience one time when I was going through the portal to get to a past life. I didn't go to a past life. I went through the portal and I went home.
Mhm.
And when I went home and I landed on the steps, it was an opal like city with, you can't describe it in three dimensions. There was buildings, but they were not in three dimensions. They were in 11 dimensions, and it was opal
Wow.
colored, those
Yeah. No
golds and
earth
blues and
words. No earth
no
words for
earthworks
this. Yeah.
really. And I landed on the stairs and I could see, my family essentially, looking through portals, checking on us down here,
Hmm.
the buzz of this light city. And they they looked at me and they were like, "Oh shit, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here."
Yeah.
And this was back when I was like 15, 16. And I was like,
Hmm.
"Well, I'm here and I want to just check on everyone. How's everyone doing?" And as I walked down those stairs, they all came up to me, and it wasn't these dense hands, but there were hands, and
Yeah.
they just passed their hand into my hand, and we had a full-blown conversation by just touching
Wow.
the light hands.
Yeah.
That, and it was what you feel when you feel euphoria coursing through your veins.
Hmm.
You feel that sense of unconditional love. That's why we protect the heart so much. We can't remember those moments. We can't remember that we're actually safe and
Hmm.
we actually are love. And once this organic matter goes back into the earth, we still go home with love.
Hmm.
We might not go home with courage or power or feelings or emotions or the root chakra and foundation, but we always go home with love.
Wow.
That doesn't die.
Yeah.
So I try to, in that space, I try to get us to remember that.
Hmm. Yeah. Wow. I'm going to have to get my poster off the wall and get it activated.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta get in those fibers and really get,
Yeah. Yeah. At least make it a
and
three-dimensional.
exactly, at
Yeah.
least make it three
Yeah.
dimensional.
Yeah.
And maybe now that I shared that story with you, you'll go home for a minute and say hi to everybody.
I would like to try that. I will actually sit down and try that. So now to the fifth chakra, and I'll tell you what I see. Usually when I'm reading somebody or looking at somebody, if I notice the fifth chakra, if I go to the fifth chakra, it's going one or two ways. Well, it's going both ways, but. So if it's going out in front, this is what you're saying to the world. If it's going out to back, this is what you're saying to yourself. And a lot of that self talk is nasty. It's like, oh, you're not talking very nicely to yourself. And by the way, you're lying to the world too. So,
That's exactly
it's
right.
like wild to watch those two things. Yeah.
Yes. So a lot of times when people talk about the throat chakra, that's what they talk about is communication. But I take it a step further and I say it's honesty. The throat
Mhm.
chakra is truth and honesty. And it doesn't matter how we communicate that, whether we're communicating it to ourselves or outward,
Mhm.
we have to stop lying.
Right.
And that's mostly stop lying to ourselves. Because once you stop
Mhm.
lying to yourself, it's like automatic you're going to stop lying to the rest of the world
Oh, I
because
didn't
now you
realize
have
that.
that.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true. That's
Right.
true. I didn't think about that. But once you clean that one up, the other one will follow. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
And
Yeah,
there's no
yeah,
need to protect, because the
right,
one in front, a lot of times is you're going to throw back at them a picture so they don't come closer. That's what
right,
kind of what
exactly.
I see,
Right.
And
And once you have done the first four, it's almost a lot. It just kind of the
it
throat just follows
happens.
suit. And it's like, all right, we're ready. We're ready for that
Right.
deep honesty with this
Hmm.
myself. I'm ready to see who I really am and not to be ashamed of it and not to
Right.
lie about it and to
Right.
just
Or
put
pretend
myself
it's
out there.
not there. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
that's good.
Hmm.
So when I've brought people to meditation, and to me, I don't have the expertise you have, nowhere near. So I'm just playing. Oh, let's sit here and look. Let's sit there.
Yeah.
The third is always like, let's sit over here. But then when I get to the sixth, and I'll say to them, how does it feel? How does it feel? Each one, how does it feel? How does it feel? And then when they get to the sixth, how does it feel? And they all say, nothing, nothing. Yes, because that's the neutral one. That is the neutral chakra. There is no feeling. There is no judgment. There is no preconceived. You're in the neutral chakra. That's what I
Right.
perceive on it.
So yes, but you're also in an intentionally poisoned chakra.
Mm, I didn't know
So
that part.
yeah, that is, everything we were talking about before we started the recording, the
Hmm.
poison is taking over the pineal gland, which
Mm.
activates the third eye and the sixth chakra and even the crown chakra. That's so yes, it's neutral because it's those two kind of aren't you. Those
Okay,
two
the sixth and
are
the seventh. Not everybody can see you.
right.
Some people are taking a walk listening.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, the sixth and the seventh, the
Yeah.
third eye and the crown are your connection to the
Hmm.
higher realms
Right.
and are your connection to, what I was saying, the energy systems out there, your quantum visions
Hmm.
and your quantum connections are those two chakras. So yes, you can't always see or feel them, but I do have an exercise to connect them. And then there is there. You can also clean out the pineal gland and then you won't feel it the same way you do as the bottom five
Right.
again, because the it the third eye and the crown are like your control center. They're your computer. They're
Hmm.
your AI, but they're your AI to the quantum realm, you know,
Right.
not to these phones. And so these phones, I constantly hear the electromagnetic fields because my third eye and my crown are wide open.
Hmm.
And so I actually do hear the electrical currents,
The buzz.
but the buzz. But it's going to be. It definitely is going to. You're right. It's numb. It doesn't feel the same because it's not part of the
Oh, the
body,
physical body,
essentially.
huh? Yeah.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah. So
wow.
those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, those two are those are your connections. That's your connection to the quantum, the
Hmm.
multiverse, shall we say.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's where you turn everything on
Hmm.
in the metaphysical world. The quantum world and the metaphysical world live in those two chakras. The sixth one is within your own, if your brain was fully activated, if you could turn on all those neurons that they
Right.
say we have, which we can do, We can release DMT on our own through the pineal gland. We don't need substances. We can do all of these things. That's within the sixth chakra. And then the crown chakra is essentially, the astral and the connection to the astral, and how we can walk among, and leave and go home. We go through that seventh chakra, and we can
Right.
pull down source from that seventh chakra. It's so yes, that's why there's that disconnect. But there's a really amazing visualization that my the person who ordained me, interfaith minister, and did the Reiki mastership with me back in the mid 90s, gave me this visualization where you take a figure eight energy cord through it's through your sacral to your heart, back out through your third eye into your heart, and then in the back through your sacral. So you're creating this figure eight through those three chakras.
Yeah.
Right. And exactly. And connecting your body and your spirit, essentially.
Wow. That's quite the visualization. That is powerful. That
It's
can
very
be very
powerful.
powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you go into the eighth, ninth chakras? I
I
don't know very much about them, to be honest. I know
I
they're
have.
there, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I don't really talk about them a lot,
Mhm.
because a lot of people aren't ready for that. But
Mhm.
the yes, so those are multidimensionals, right? That's where you walk in. I'll give you it's where you can see the alternate realities,
Mhm.
and it's how you can, like Doctor Strange, he makes those little swirls, or I think it's him, and then you like go through the portal. So though, and you can, I'm not, I love that question. Yes, I can access them, but I personally haven't felt comfortable yet to talk about it publicly,
Uh-huh.
because you can go to multi dimensions through those. I've been to a really cool place called the Void.
Mhm.
It looks dark. It looks almost evil. People would be like, "Oh my gosh, that's scary." But they're the most peaceful people in the universe that I've come across.
Mhm.
And they live beyond the light, and it's so beautiful, and they're so peaceful, and it's just amazing. But anyway, so yes, I am working on becoming comfortable talking about those chakras, and I'm
Yeah.
actually working on another book
Uh-huh.
that ties in those chakras with quantum consciousness. Um, but there's a lot of amazing things you can do
Yeah.
in that realm.
That would be. Yeah. And
Yeah,
parallel lives. Do you believe in parallel lives? And would it be in the eighth
absolutely.
chakra where
Absolutely.
you have connection to all of them? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the things that I've seen and the things that I've done for myself, in my it's only explained that way. But not only that, it 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 there's nothing else. When I try to find other explanations for these things, there's this visceral pull
Mhm.
to keep going through the eighth chakra. It is an electrical charge that I feel on my consciousness and my physical body. And saying it now, I have the chills. And it's
Uh-huh.
like, no, you're in the right area. This is exactly how you have to talk about it. It's just that alignment of articulating the words and being able to bring it into a three-dimensional
Right.
concept that
Earth
I don't
words.
feel
Yeah.
earth
Earth
words that I
words.
just don't. And I know there's plenty of people out there that talk about it, and they have their own earth words for
Mhm.
these experiences. But for me myself, I haven't felt comfortable with any of those words yet.
Right.
And
Right.
maybe that's because I have so much earth energy. I really want my words to align with what we're living in the moment,
Mhm.
and not make them so Aquarius sounding,
Right.
so ethereal sounding. That's just not me.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
I'm still looking for my words when it comes to those experiences.
Mhm.
Does that
Okay,
make sense?
good. Yeah,
Makes
that
sense.
makes sense. Yeah. Um, I'm sure you've heard, and maybe you've dealt with this. People talk about Kundalini rising,
Oh,
and a lot of,
yes.
yeah, it's, oh, good. You want to talk about it? And then what happens if it rises too quickly? A lot of people
Ah,
say our mental illness, our insane asylums are full of people that blew their circuits, basically.
and
They're,
that's so true. It's so true. I have seen it happen. I have had
wow.
people come to
Yeah.
me with psychotic breaks, and I've had to calm down their Kundalini energy. It's very powerful. So Kundalini is one of the ones I will tackle in the next book in
Hmm.
this higher realm energy, because to me, it is extremely powerful.
Right.
The first time I experienced it, again, I experienced a lot of this stuff as a teenager
Hmm.
in the 90s. And the first time I experienced it, my mom was teaching a meditation class. She didn't know what she was doing. She did a Kundalini meditation.
Yeah.
All the other women were like, I don't know, I don't feel anything. And I'm laying on the floor maybe 20 minutes after the meditation is over, not moving. And they're like,
Wow.
uh-oh, what?
Yeah.
And my hands are above my body like this, and I'm just totally out of my body.
Wow.
And my mom's, it was, they did a lot of work to get me back in my body.
Yeah.
I remember the experience. I remember the out of body experience. I
Right.
remember where I was. I remember the fire that I saw.
Wow.
Um,
So
the pit
you
of fire that I,
you actually experienced it and
oh
came
yeah.
back in and were able to
Oh
come
yeah.
back in. Yeah.
I was
Because
able to come
I've
back in.
never met anybody. I've met people who told me that, but I've been dubious, to be honest. But
Oh
you
yeah. Yeah.
actually experienced it. Yeah.
Oh, I experienced it. I came back in, and I've been very cautious about it. I won't
Hmm.
activate Kundalini inside of somebody unless I think that they're ready, unless we have a conversation about it, unless they understand that it is going to be a complete circuit system rewrite. And
Right.
it is a healing system. It because that you can have a psychotic break if you don't
Hmm.
know what you're getting into, and if you really activate it. Of course, there's some people who are like, "Oh, I activated my Kundalini," and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
didn't.
Or
They
they
didn't.
did in the
Um,
first chakra and second chakra, but not past. Yeah.
no, right, and
Not
it
the
didn't go all
whole
the way.
thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it can be scary. So I can
Hmm.
absolutely understand where people would just cap it at,
Right.
the sexual energy of it, because it's like, oh,
Hmm.
let's just do the
Yeah.
exciting
This
part
is
of
fun. Yeah.
Kundalini. Right.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
so much more.
Right.
So,
Right.
so, so much more. So
Do you
yeah.
think in physical body we are supposed to activate Kundalini? The full Kundalini.
I think it is a gift that we are capable of accessing in the body. Are we supposed to? I don't think that not everyone is supposed to. Not
Hmm.
everyone is at that level. But
Yeah.
if you get to a certain understanding of life,
Hmm.
then it is absolutely a gift you can utilize. But I think that there's kind of trials and tribulations we need to go through
Yeah.
in order to
Yeah.
really utilize it properly.
I've wondered honestly if Kundalini energy, because to me it can blow the circuits in your body. But is
It
it
can.
supposed to? Is it supposed to? Is it too powerful for the physical? I guess that's what I'm asking.
So no, it's not. But like anything, if it's abused, it will be.
Right.
Anything that is blown out. I mean, you can have abuse love, and then it's
Hmm.
blown out and it becomes toxic. So
Right.
to me, any energy system can become a toxic energy system and can be an abuse of power,
Hmm.
but none of them have to be. And
Okay.
Kundalini is, like I said, it's a gift of medicine if used correctly. But
Hmm.
mankind has not, most of them have not been in a space to actually use it correctly, so it becomes an abusive energy and it becomes
Right.
toxic.
Right.
And
But it
that's why
can be controlled. It can be
it
controlled.
abs-
Yeah.
it can be,
Yeah.
but you have to go through certain
You have to
steps
reach that
first.
level.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
So I have 11 o'clock appointment.
Oh, okay. Well, no. All
I
right, so
know.
let's get going. Let's get going. Let me let you go.
Yeah,
But before you go, will you tell
yeah,
everybody where to get hold of you, where to get your book, what you have coming up,
yeah.
all
So
of that?
right now, I don't have much on the calendar, but I'm working on a couple of projects that will be in the future. Like I said, this is a tornado, so
Hmm.
uh, Granddaughter Crow might be one of the another series. But you can find me at primalhearthealing.com.
Hmm.
That's my website. You can get my book there. You can get my book on Amazon. You can get my book on Llewellyn, which is chakras and shadow work. Um,
And you're
you
out
can
there now.
also
You're published right now. Your book's out
correct.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
good.
it's out there now, so you can get it now. You can also find me on social media, Instagram and TikTok
Hmm.
and Facebook, and it's all Primal Heart Healing. So
Okay.
Primal Heart Healing.
And people can work with you individually, and you also have
They can work with
classes.
me.
Yeah.
I do, yeah. So
Okay.
you can, if you go on my website, you'll see all of that. There'll
Okay,
be,
great.
that little hamburger thing that says about, and then it says appointments, and then
Right.
subscriptions, which are the classes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for being on. It's been a fabulous conversation. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Have a
Hopefully we
great
can do
day.
it again.
Oh, yes,
Yeah, you too.
especially your new book, too.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Have a great day. Bye bye.
You too. Bye, Barb.